Good morning, folks. Ari here from Direct Auto Outlet in Fair Oaks, California. This will be a 10,000 mile impression review of this 2022 Ford Maverick Lariat. This will also be a driving impression review of the vehicle. We'll get it out on the road, we'll do a little bit of driving in the city, get it on the freeway, give you our impressions. As always, our videos are non-scripted and they are not rehearsed, so we will be jumping back and forth and covering a few different topics. We'll be covering my order process and how that worked and how I predict the upcoming order process on this vehicle is going to work. We'll cover some information on other Ford vehicles like the Ford Lightning and how that's going to work, or how that is working out currently. We'll also talk about accessories that are available for this vehicle and how the order process for that goes, maintenance on this vehicle such as oil changes, tire rotations, and what you can expect. We'll also be covering fuel economy on this vehicle, real world fuel economy, what you can get, what you do get, what the potential of the vehicle is. And we'll also cover some reliability items and my impressions of, my experiences rather, of how this overall initial reliability of this vehicle has been for the first 10,000 miles. We'll also cover my likes and dislikes, promoting this vehicle for about 5 months now. And we'll also talk a little bit about the automotive industry and what's going on currently. So please join us. This video will be covering many different topics, and we'll be jumping back and forth. So hopefully you find it informative and useful. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We've got 10,168 miles currently. Vehicle had 10,000 miles yesterday. And we'll go ahead and get our seatbelt on and get started. Well, first and foremost, guys, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak preview on, what my impressions of the vehicle are. They're overall very positive. Not every aspect of this process has been positive, but would I order this vehicle and would I own it again? Would I purchase it again? I'd say absolutely. My order process did start a little bit rocky, other than having to wait 9 months for the vehicle to be produced and shipped over to me. We had a bit of an experience when taking delivery of the vehicle. It was not the most pleasant experience ever. It's something that I have not talked about in previous videos, but now that the ordering banks are reopening very soon for this vehicle, I do want to share some of my experiences and impressions on, what I went through in ordering the vehicle, so hopefully it doesn't happen to you. First and foremost, my order went in early 2021, and I took delivery of the vehicle March of 2022, so things were very different back then. And the automotive industry was not suffering as badly as it is right now, and dealers were handling things a little bit differently, and they were definitely more friendly back then, if for lack of better terms. I wouldn't call them friendly, but friendlier than they are currently right now. Long story short, when we took delivery of the vehicle, or when we attempted to take delivery of the vehicle, we were pulled into the manager's office, the desk manager's office, that big glass room on the showroom floor where all the top-notch high-end managers are hanging out. We were taken into that room. Door was closed behind us. The room emptied out. I felt like I was in some South American interrogation room. Long story short, the general manager said that the owner of the dealership has decided not to sell you this vehicle. And to our surprise and to our disappointment, we asked some questions why, and obviously I think we all know why. It really comes down to profitability. These vehicles were back then going for $8,000–9,000 over MSRP, and now it's even a lot worse. No one anticipated the car shortage, the new car shortage, to be this bad or last this long, but it has. So needless to say, after much debating and discussions, we were given the opportunity at the very end. Obviously, as you can see, we have the vehicle now. We were given the opportunity at the end to purchase the vehicle. There were some conditions. The conditions were that not only do we not leave any negative feedback of our experience with that dealership, but that we also provide them 5-star ratings on the surveys that come after after the fact, after the purchase. I'm not proud to say that I did that. I wasn't planning on doing any sort of reviews, negative or positive, but I had a pretty positive experience with my salesperson there, and he was very adamant that I do the survey because he said it affected him. It was his personal report card, and that he greatly appreciated, and none of our issues or problems were with that salesperson. So we ended up doing it because we did not want to penalize him due to our bad experience with the dealership as a whole. So we did it, but it wasn't a very pleasant experience, folks. I hope you guys don't have to go through that. The ordering banks were supposed to be open early August, as it was pushed forward from its original date, and it's been pushed back again. Currently, as of the time this video is being published, we are anticipating around September 15th for the ordering banks for the 2023 model year of the Maverick to come out. And some of the things you might want to look into doing is getting some kind of written guarantee for price protection, and that you are going to be in fact able to purchase the vehicle once it becomes available to you. There are a few different ways that you can get yourself price protection. The price protection that we had at the time of order was actually inputted into the system that the current MSRP at the time of ordering of the vehicle would be the price that we would be guaranteed on the vehicle. That was actually stated on the ordering sheet that we were given once we gave our $500 deposit and we spec'd the vehicle out. However, it is also possible that you can be guaranteed to pay the current day's MSRP amount for the day that you take delivery of the vehicle. So for example, let's say if you choose a model, spec it out, and you come up with a $32,500 MSRP, for example, but it takes you 11 or 12 months to get the vehicle, well, the MSRP might have increased once or twice or even 3 times during that time, and some dealerships may guarantee you the MSRP at the time of delivery of the vehicle, which is certainly most likely going to be higher than the MSRP at the time of ordering. Speaking of higher MSRPs, the Ford Lightning was just announced that it is going to be increasing in price by about $7,000. So the base price of just under $40,000 plus destination fees are now at about $47,000 plus destination fees. And once you climb up to the higher trim levels, you will find that that can easily increase, and you could be paying over $100,000 for a Ford Lightning. Well, you know, I don't like buying into the hype of this type of thing, and I was planning on ordering a Ford Lightning. I no longer am planning on doing so. I think that Ford Motor Company is making a bad move, and in the long term, it is going to bite them. I understand why they're doing it. The economics is not difficult to understand or foresee, but doesn't make it great, and doesn't give the consumer a great feeling nonetheless. Accessories for this vehicle. We had ordered several accessories for this vehicle before we took possession of the vehicle even. We ordered them a couple months before we got the vehicle. We've had the vehicle for 5 months now, and we have received about half of our accessories, and the other half are still on back order. I will be doing a detailed accessory video specifically on accessories and covering each one of them and whether I think each one of them are worth the money that they cost and whether I would recommend buying them or not. But just as a general, the accessory ordering process was definitely not fun. It's been taking a long time. It's taken us pretty much almost as long as it did to create the vehicle and build it to get a set of all-weather floor mats for this vehicle. So difficult times. Understand supply chain shortages and problems. It is what it is. I'm tempted to do my first oil change at Ford just because it was included with the purchase of the vehicle. We did not have to pay for it, but after trying to get into their quick service express lane, realized quickly that it wasn't worth the trouble to try to deal with the dealership. My overall experience with the Ford dealership I purchased the vehicle from is pretty poor in general. Trying to service the vehicle there, it looked like I would have to leave the vehicle there for 2 entire days for a simple oil change. So, I decided to do it myself. I went into their parts department and bought a dozen oil filters, ordered some Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil, 0W20. And I've been doing the oil changes myself. I've done a couple oil changes already. I'm at 10,000 miles. I've been doing them ahead of schedule just because I'd like to maintain the vehicle as best as I can. I recently also did a tire rotation on this vehicle, and to my surprise, or to my dissurprise, depending on how you look at it, the front tires are starting to cup a little bit, which is a little you know, a little disappointing, but being in the industry and being in the car business for as long as I have been, it's not a surprise coming from Ford trucks. Ford trucks tend to have their tires cup out for whatever reason in the front. To most vehicles, cupping is caused by worn out suspensions and vehicles that have nearly 200,000 miles on them that have not been well maintained. But for some reason, Ford trucks manage to have their front tires get cupped even from the time they are brand new. It has to be an engineering standpoint. I wouldn't really even consider this a Ford truck because it is a unibody chassis vehicle, so it's not really a chassis on frame vehicle. I wouldn't really consider it a Ford truck as you would an F-150 or F-250. This is essentially just really a Ford Escape hybrid with a different chassis configuration. But nonetheless, I've managed to be able to cup my tires in the front with less than 10,000 miles on them. My air pressure has been a little bit higher than the recommended amount, so I have adjusted that, and I have my tires rotated, so I will keep an eye on my uncupped tires that are in the front now that came from the rear of the vehicle, and be keeping an eye on them, see how they do, see if we do hopefully do a little bit better. Gosh, speaking of the dealership I purchased the vehicle from, here it is. I did attempt to order a second one. I was told that the ordering banks had been pushed back. I visited a different local Sacramento dealership hoping for a different experience, and you know, I don't know. It's just trying times right now for the automotive industry, and things are not easy, and I understand that. Another thing about changing the oil on this vehicle, the oil filter on this vehicle is the housing on it, the aluminum housing on it is so thin that getting the oil filter off will certainly bend the oil filter housing, not the oil filter housing, but the oil filter itself, the housing on the oil filter itself. It is made of such thin metal that it actually will dent as you try to take it off, and I had to be very careful, even hand tightening it, that I wouldn't dent or compromise the new oil filter when putting it on. So I've never experienced that with any vehicle in my entire life. It's kind of disappointing, and I hope that the quality of the rest of the vehicle and the parts of the rest of the vehicle don't reflect the quality of some of the components I've seen so far and some of the accessories that I've seen so far, most of which I probably wouldn't recommend. There are a few accessories that I found that they were great and they worked great for me and they were of good quality, but most of them were pretty cheaply made, and you know, makes you think or wonder how the rest of the vehicle has been put together. Fuel economy on this vehicle can be quite great. As of right now, at the moment, I'm averaging 41.6 miles per gallon. Most of this tank has been on the freeway. I have been exceeding speeds of 75, 80 miles per hour on the freeway, so that's not the greatest way to achieve good fuel economy. As you can see, out of the 476 miles I've traveled on this tank so far, only 136 of them have been electric miles. I have had tanks where 2/3 or more of my miles have been all electric. Those are tanks in which most of my mileage has been in city and stop and go driving. I have been able to achieve upwards of 60 miles per gallon average on a tank. I have been able to achieve consistently over 50 miles to the gallon per tank, and on tanks where I do pretty much 80, 90, 100% freeway driving, it's not too difficult to achieve over 40 miles per gallon average, but it really greatly varies on your driving habit. I had this 150 mile trip where I just really hot dogged the car and just, you know, was on it hard, about as hard as you can be, and I averaged 29.6 miles per gallon on that trip. It was all freeway and it was very aggressive driving, so your mileage can vary quite a bit and just really does depend on your driving habits. The reliability of the vehicle, initial reliability, has been pretty good. I have not had any warranty claims whatsoever. This vehicle has not been seen by a Ford dealership since it left the Ford dealership brand new. So I'd say that's a good thing. I have experienced some problems with my brakes. I am waiting for either a recall or a technical service bulletin to come out. What's been happening, and I've heard of other Ford Maverick owners reporting this as well on the hybrid models, what happens is as you're coming to a slow stop and you try to apply your brakes, you notice that the grabbing power of the brakes are not increasing, so you find yourself applying the brakes harder and harder on the pedal in order to stop the vehicle, and then all of a sudden you get a big thunk and the vehicle stops very suddenly, and it typically startles passengers or even startles yourself the first 10, 20, 100 times it happens to you, but it seems to always startle my wife every time that it happens, and that could definitely be a safety issue because, you know, if you're in a drive-through line at Starbucks or your local fast food joint, or just, you know, gradually increasing speed, approaching the vehicle in front of you, coming to a stop light on a red light, the vehicle is not performing like it should. You're applying your brakes, the vehicle is not slowing down, applying your brakes, and this is all under 2 or 3 miles per hour, mind you, but applying your brakes harder and harder and harder, and the vehicle is not slowing down or wanting to stop, and then all of a sudden you hear a big clunk and it stops immediately and jerks everybody in the vehicle. I'm sure less experienced drivers will end up getting into accidents or getting themselves into trouble because of this, so I do anticipate if enough people are having this issue that Ford will provide a remedy for it, a recall, or at least a technical service bulletin, maybe a software reprogram, or some tweaking of the brakes. So we're still waiting for that to happen. It's been doing it since brand new, and it is still doing it. But yeah, you know, as far as likes and dislikes of the vehicle, I'm overall very happy with it. The vehicle is extremely comfortable. It is extremely smooth, very easy to drive. Visibility is great on it. I find that I don't get tired of driving it. I enjoy driving it quite a bit. It's saved us a ton of money in fuel, especially now in California, where fuel prices had exceeded well over $6 a gallon, more than anywhere else in the country. But we find that the vehicle has served our needs well, and I think it'll pay for itself in a very short period of time. I'm averaging, you know, probably about 24 to 25,000 miles per year driven on this vehicle at the rate I'm going currently. So this vehicle, I think in 3 to 4 years will pay for itself in just fuel savings alone. It's a no-brainer. I do plan to order another one. I will be at the dealerships on September 15th. If that date does not change and remains at what it is, I will be ordering another one, and I'm looking forward to enjoying that. A little bit about what's going on in the automotive industry. It's, you know, it's no secret. Microchip shortages, semiconductor shortages, parts shortages. It's just gotten worse and worse. Many new car dealerships have less than 3 or 4 new cars on their lots right now, so it's just simple economics, supply and demand. These dealerships are trying to get as much money as they can for their vehicles, and every transaction has to count. What that means to you is you have to pay exorbitant market adjustment fees, and sometimes the vehicle costs you 25, 30, 40% more than what it should, and it's not a great time to buy a vehicle. If you don't have to buy a vehicle right now, I don't recommend that you do so. If you do come across an ethical dealership that'll put in an order for you and you do have the luxury of time to wait, then by all means, definitely that is a good way of putting in an order and purchasing the vehicle if that's an option for you. But yeah, the automotive industry is in a big mess, and it's not seeing any signs of recovering anytime soon. As a matter of fact, tension between gosh, I don't know if I could really mention it, but between 2 certain Asian countries, one of which is responsible for 80+% of the semiconductors that go into everything we use on a daily basis in the world. If that conflict gets much worse, then we are going to have a world of hurt in the automotive industry, and that's looking more and more possible as the days go by. But yeah, the automotive industry is hurting right now, and the new car shortages are trickling into the used car world, and we're finding that we're paying record prices for vehicles. We're going to auctions that used to have 700-800 vehicles that now have only 200 or 250 vehicles. Back in the day, 50% of the vehicles at auction used to be good. Now maybe 20% of those vehicles are good, and 100% of those vehicles are costing us a lot more money than they used to. I miss the days where I can go to auction and, you know, come out with 2, 3, 4 cars, fill up a trailer, and be able to come back. Nowadays, it's more so that we're going to auction 6, 7, 8, 10 auctions to buy 1 car, and we get a lot more excited these days when we buy a car versus when we sell them. Even though the market has slowed down a little bit and we're not selling as many cars as we used to, we're still much more excited when we're able to buy one than sell. In any case, without getting too much off topic, making this about the 10,000 mile review of this vehicle. Very comfortable vehicle, great performing vehicle, power is great on it, for a hybrid, you know, relatively, if you take that into consideration. You can get up and go, get out of your own way, be able to pass. Acceleration on it is great. fuel economy on it is great. It's really the perfect vehicle all around. If this hybrid version was available in an all-wheel drive, and perhaps you had a max tow package where you can get up to 4,000 pounds of weight on the hybrid model, which you cannot currently, I would say this would be the perfect all-around vehicle that would really address most people's needs completely and thoroughly. In any case, I own so many different vehicles that if I do need to tow, or if I need an all-wheel drive / four-wheel drive truck, I have many other ones I could choose from. So it is still the perfect vehicle for me as a daily driver. And I think many of you will find that this vehicle will serve your needs. Long-term reliability, I don't know. I am skeptical. I'm skeptical of really any car that's being produced during this era and this time of shortages of materials and products and microchips. That combined with the bean counters trying to cut corners at every chance that they get, I don't think that vehicles that come out of the 2020s are going to be considered the best quality vehicles. And I think in the upcoming years we will know something, or have something called COVID era vehicles, where vehicles will just be known for being of lesser quality that came out of this era. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I do predict that that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't, but I think it's going to be likely. But folks, get ready for your orders. Talk to your dealers and try to find a dealer that can give you some assurance or some guarantees of price protection, as well as make sure that you leave a deposit on these vehicles. If you do not leave a deposit, you will most certainly not get the vehicle that you ordered. Make sure you leave a deposit. Make sure you try to find an ethical dealership to work with based on what other customers have said about them. Look at their reviews. Try to get some assurances and some guarantees in writing. Hopefully you'll have a better experience than we did. And knowing what we know now, we will definitely move forward differently with our next order, and make sure that we try to find a more ethical dealership to work with as well. But overall, our experiences with our 2022 Ford Maverick Lariat First Edition package has been very positive. Very comfortable vehicle, lovely vehicle to drive. It's been great for us. I would buy it 100 times over. And I think you guys will too. Please use and utilize the comment section if you would like any additional information about any topic we went over today. We will be happy to help. We do look at our comment section from time to time, and we do try to respond to each and every comment. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing as well. It certainly helps us out. And if you give us a thumbs up on this video, it certainly helps us out in the YouTube algorithms as well, and helps our videos stay relevant. Folks, if you have any specific questions, I'm always happy to help. We are more than happy to help any other fellow car enthusiasts. We're all car lovers and enthusiasts here at Direct Auto Outlet. That's how we got into the business. So whether you are our customer or not, whether we're making any money on you or not, we would love to help with any and every question you have. You can reach us at the lot here at any time at area code 916-765-7575, and you can reach us 24/7, 365 days a year on our website, which is www.directauto.outlet.com. Do want to take this opportunity to thank you greatly for joining us and sticking with us throughout the entirety of this video. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you, and we hope to interact with you in the future. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.